The gift box. Ethan sat alone in his small house on the edge of the city, staring at the single candle on his birthday cake. It was not a grand celebration. He had no family left in town, and most of his friends had drifted away over the years. Birthdays had become just another day for him. He blew out the candle without making a wish, because he no longer believed wishes came true. Just as he stood to clear the table, there was a heavy knock at the door. It was strange no one ever came to visit him, especially not this late. When he opened the door, he froze. A delivery drone hovered in the street, lowering a huge black box onto his doorstep. The box was taller than he was, covered in silver. Symbols that glowed faintly in the dark. Ethan frowned. He hadn't ordered anything. The drone gave a mechanical beep, then flew away, leaving him staring at the mysterious gift. There was no label, no address, no explanation. Only a single note, stuck to the side. The letters were written in sharp strokes he did not recognize. But somehow his mind whispered the meaning. Happy birthday, human. His chest tightened. The words made no sense. Who would send such a thing? Carefully, he pushed the box inside, the metal scraping against the wooden floor. It was heavy, almost too heavy to move, but curiosity burned inside him. He searched for a lock or a handle. Finally, his fingers found a small panel at the top. With a hiss, the box slowly opened. A cold mist spilled out. Ethan stumbled back, eyes wide. From the fog, a figure stepped forward. At first, he thought it was a dream. A woman tall, graceful, unlike anyone he had ever seen emerged. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dim light, pale with silver lines that traced her arms like living tattoos. Her eyes glowed soft blue, reflecting both fear and strength. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. She was beautiful, too beautiful, almost unreal. Her long hair floated slightly as if touched by invisible winds. She wore strange clothing made of dark, smooth fabric, tied around her shoulders and flowing down like a robe. Every movement was elegant, careful, as if she was not sure if the world around her was safe. Who are you? Ethan whispered. The woman looked at him, then lowered her head slightly. Her voice was soft, melodic, but filled with weight. I was sent here. To you? Ethan blinked. Sent to me. By who? She hesitated, her lips pressing together as if she carried a secret too heavy to share. They told me. Today is your birthday. I am your gift. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. His birthday? A gift? None of it made sense. He shook his head, half expecting hidden cameras, half thinking this was a cruel joke. But the fear in her glowing eyes was real. She was not acting. She was trembling. What are you talking about? Who sent you? Ethan asked, his voice louder now. The woman stepped closer. If I speak, they will hear. If they hear, they will come. Her words sent a chill down his spine. He didn't know who they were, but something in her voice told him it was dangerous. For a long moment, silence filled the room. Only the ticking of his old clock echoed against the walls. Ethan felt trapped between disbelief and the undeniable truth standing in front of him. Finally, she raised her eyes to meet his. Please, do not send me back. Her voice cracked. And Ethan saw the fear she tried to hide. He realized she was not just some strange visitor, she was desperate, maybe even running from something. His instincts told him this was the start of something bigger than himself, something far beyond Earth. He didn't know what this alien woman was hiding, but he knew one thing: nothing about his life would ever be normal again. And as the faint sound of engines hummed in the night sky outside, Ethan had the sinking feeling that someone or something was already searching for her. The alien's confession. Ethan sat on the edge of his chair, staring at the strange woman who had just stepped out of the box. His mind kept repeating her words. I am your gift. The phrase felt unreal, almost like some twisted dream. But the woman was real, her glowing eyes, her trembling hands, the faint marks across her skin that seemed alive with light. She stood silently in the corner of the room, her posture tense, as if expecting chains to fall from above at any moment. Ethan tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Finally, he whispered, "What's your name?" The woman hesitated. Her lips moved, struggling to form the sound. "Lyra," she said at last, her voice soft and fragile. Yet it carried a kind of music Ethan had never heard before. "Lyra?" Ethan repeated slowly, as if testing the weight of the word. "Why are you here? Who sent you?" Eyes shifted. Away from him, glowing faintly under the dim ceiling light. "Because they wanted to see if you would accept me," she said, almost too quietly. Ethan frowned. "They? Who are they?" Lyra's fingers traced the silver lines on her arm as if she was trying to calm herself. "I cannot speak their names," she whispered. "If I do, they will know I am here. They are always listening." The hairs on Ethan's neck rose. The way she spoke wasn't madness, it was fear. Genuine fear. She believed what she was saying. He leaned forward. "Listen, you don't have to be afraid. You're safe here." Her eyes snapped back to his, filled with both hope and disbelief. "Safe?" she asked softly, as if testing the word for the first time. "There is no safe. Not for me. Not anywhere." Her voice shook. Ethan could see she was holding back tears. It was strange, this alien woman, so beautiful and mysterious, looked more fragile in that moment than anyone he had ever met. "Tell me," Ethan said gently. "Tell me what happened." Lyra's chest rose and fell, her breath unsteady. For a moment, she seemed to fight with herself. Then the words spilled out. "I was born into a cage," she began. "From the moment I could walk, they told me I belonged to them. They chose everything, my clothes, my food, even the air I breathed. When I grew older, they said I was too beautiful to waste. Too rare, they decided I would be used as a prize, a gift, to show their power." Her voice broke, and she pressed a trembling hand to her face. Ethan sat frozen, listening. "They trained me to obey," she continued. "To smile, to bow, to speak the words they wanted. I was not a person to them. I was only something to give away, and today they chose you." Ethan's stomach twisted. He looked around his small house, at the worn-out furniture, the peeling wallpaper, the cracked window. Why him? Why would anything send such a woman to him? Lyra's eyes softened, studying his face. "You are different," she whispered. "When I stepped out of that box, you did not chain me. You did not command me. You looked at me as if I was real. That is why I beg you, Ethan, do not send me back." Ethan's name on her lips made his heart skip. He hadn't told her who he was. How did she know? He wanted to ask, but before he could speak, Lyra moved closer. Her voice dropped to a trembling whisper. "They will come for me. They will come for both of us. And when they do, you must decide, will you protect me, or will you hand me over like they expect?" The room fell silent again, but this time it was heavy, filled with a dangerous truth. Ethan realized this was no longer just about a strange box or a birthday surprise. This was a choice that could change his entire life. And outside, far in the distance, the low hum of engines echoed again in the night sky, closer than before. Asterisk. The watchers. The night outside Ethan's small house was too quiet. He tried to convince himself that Lyra's fear was only in her mind, but deep down he knew she wasn't lying. Something was wrong. He closed the curtains and locked the door. Yet his heartbeat didn't slow down. Lyra sat near the window, her glowing eyes following the darkness outside. She didn't speak, but Ethan noticed her hands shaking. Every small sound made her flinch, as if she expected someone to break in. At any moment, Ethan rubbed his face, trying to think. If they're coming for you, then why send you here? Why to me? I don't even matter, he said. Lyra turned her head slowly. You matter more than you know. Before Ethan could question her words, the low hum of engines reached his ears. Again, he froze. This time, it wasn't his imagination. The sound grew louder, closer, till headlights cut across the empty road outside. Two black vehicles rolled slowly to a stop across from his house. Their engines idled, steady and cold. Ethan's chest tightened. No one ever came out this far. His neighborhood was nearly abandoned, yet here were strangers in the middle of the night. Lyra's voice was sharp. The Watchers, she whispered. Ethan's skin prickled. Watchers, they follow. They record. They do not speak. They are sent to make sure the gift does not disappear. Her words chilled him. The vehicles just sat there, their tinted windows like dark eyes staring at his home. No one stepped out. No one knocked, but he could feel them watching. Ethan paced the room, his thoughts racing. He had two choices: open the door and confront whoever they were, or pretend nothing was wrong and wait. But the way Lyra stared at those vehicles told him waiting would not save them. He grabbed his phone, thinking to call the police, but Lyra shook her head violently. No police. If you call, they will vanish, and then they will return in silence. Stronger, you will not even see them next time. Her certainty scared him more than the cars outside. He lowered the phone, feeling helpless. Suddenly, the porch light flickered. The power inside the house dimmed for a second, then returned. Ethan's stomach sank. It felt like a warning, like someone was testing the wires of his life. Lyra stood, her movements graceful but tense. They want you to fear. They want you to feel weak. That is how they control. Ethan clenched his fists. Well, they picked the wrong house. If they want to scare me, they'll have to do more than sit in a car. But his voice shook even. As he tried to sound brave, the night dragged on. The cars did not move. The engines hummed like a heartbeat, steady and threatening. Ethan barely slept, his eyes darting to the window every few minutes. Lyra didn't sleep at all. She sat in silence, her gaze locked on the shadows outside, as if she had seen this too many times before. When morning came, the vehicles were gone. No sound, no trace, only tire marks in the dirt. Ethan stepped outside, scanning the road. The world looked normal: birds in the trees, sunlight on the grass, but the marks proved it wasn't a dream. He turned to Lyra, who stood in the doorway. Her face was pale, but her eyes glowed brighter in the daylight. They are patient, she said. They will wait. And when the order is given, they will strike. You have been marked, Ethan. You are no longer invisible. The weight of her words crushed him. He realized his quiet, ordinary life had ended the moment he opened that strange box. And now, the Watchers circling in the shadows. He wasn't just protecting a stranger, standing in the middle of something vast, dangerous and unstoppable. Asterisk the human choice. The sun climbed higher, but Ethan's house felt darker than ever. He sat at the table with his head in his hands, the memory of the black vehicles burning in his mind. Lyra stood silently near the door, her silver tattoos glowing faintly in the morning light. She hadn't spoken since dawn, but he could feel her waiting for him to decide. Ethan's life had always been quiet, almost invisible. He went to work, came home, paid his bills, and repeated the same cycle every week. No one noticed him, and he preferred it that way. But now, this alien woman had appeared in his living room, and shadowy Watchers circled his house. His safe and boring life was gone. Finally, Ethan lifted his eyes. You should leave, he said, his voice low. If they're after you, then staying here will only put me in danger. Lyra flinched as if his words were knives. Her glowing eyes filled with something between sorrow and fear. If I leave, they will catch me, she whispered. They will chain me again. Do you know what that means? Her voice trembled, and Ethan could almost see the weight of her memories pressing down on her. They will take me apart, piece by piece, until there is nothing left to call Lyra. Ethan's stomach twisted. He hadn't asked for any of this, didn't want to be a hero, didn't want to fight anyone's war. But looking at her Nat, the way she clung to the thin thread of hope, he knew sending her away would be the same as killing her. He stood and began pacing the room. You don't understand. I'm just a man. I don't have weapons. I don't have power. I don't even have friends who could help. Lyra stepped forward. You have something stronger? She said softly. Choice. They cannot control that. You can decide who I am to you, Anne, object to be returned, or a life worth protecting. Her words hit him harder than he expected. A choice. He looked at his small house again. The peeling wallpaper, the broken lamp, the half-eaten cake from last night. His life had been empty, repeating, meaningless. But now, for the first time in years, he had something worth deciding. Ethan exhaled sharply and turned toward her. Fine, he said. If they want you, they'll have to go through me first. You can stay. Lyra's lips parted in shock. For a moment, she looked as if she couldn't believe what she had heard. Slowly, tears welled in her glowing eyes. She bowed her head slightly. Thank you, she whispered. No one has ever chosen me before. The silence between them grew heavy. But it wasn't the silence of fear anymore, it was something different, something new. Ethan felt it too. Still, he couldn't ignore the risk. He opened his laptop and began searching for answers. He typed in strange glowing symbols he had copied from the box, hoping to find anything. To his surprise, nothing came up, not a single match. The internet, the place that had answers to everything, was empty. That scared him more than the watchers. He closed the screen and looked back at Lyra. If they're coming, I need to know. How to stop them? Tell me what they can do. Lyra hesitated, her hands trembling again. Finally, she said, They do not bleed like you. They do not sleep like you. But they believe they are untouchable. That is their weakness. A human who refuses to bow, that frightens them more than any weapon. Ethan didn't fully understand, but the determination in her voice gave him strength. As the sun sank lower, he realized the choice had already been made. He wasn't going to hand her over. He wasn't going to walk away. For the first time in his life, Ethan had something to fight for. And somewhere out in the distance, the watchers were waiting, patient as wolves. Asterisk. The first attack night returned quickly, covering Ethan's small neighborhood in silence. But this silence felt dangerous, heavier than the night before. Ethan sat near the window with the lights off, his eyes scanning the empty road. He expected to see the black vehicles again, waiting like predators. For a while, nothing moved. Lyra sat beside him, her glowing eyes sharp and alert. She hadn't spoken much since he promised to protect her, but he could sense her fear had changed into something else, a quiet trust. Still, every sound outside made her stiffen. Then, just past midnight, Ethan heard it. A low crackle, almost like static, filled the air. His lamp flickered once, then twice, before going completely dark. The house fell into shadows. Lyra's breath caught. They are here? Before Ethan could ask, the front door exploded inward with a deafening crash. Splinters of wood flew across the room. Ethan shielded his face and stumbled back. Figures in black armor stormed inside, their helmets smooth and faceless, their bodies moving with machine-like precision. Lyra cried out, her voice trembling but defiant. Ethan grabbed the nearest thing he could, a heavy wrench from his toolbox. His hands shook, but his jaw tightened. He wasn't going to let them take her. The first guard lunged forward, moving faster than any human soldier. Ethan swung the wrench, with all his strength, striking the guard's helmet. Sparks flew, and the figure staggered but didn't fall. Its hand shot out, grabbing Ethan by the collar and slamming him against the wall. Pain shot through his body, but adrenaline kept him. Standing, he brought the wrench down again, this time on the guard's arm. With a sharp crack, the grip loosened, and Ethan shoved the figure back. Two more stormed in, aiming strange glowing weapons at Lyra. She raised her hand, and for the first time, Ethan saw her power. The silver tattoos on her skin flared bright, releasing a wave of light that knocked the guards off their feet. They crashed into the walls with metallic thuds, their weapons clattering to the floor. Ethan stared in shock, but there was no time to question. Another guard rushed at him. He ducked under the blow, swung the wrench upward, and caught the figure's helmet hard enough to crack the visor. The faceless mask split, revealing dark, lifeless eyes beneath us that weren't human. His stomach twisted, but he forced himself to keep fighting. Ethan. Lyra called, her voice urgent. She was struggling against two guards who had grabbed her arms. They dragged her toward the broken doorway. "No!" Ethan roared. He charged forward, slamming his shoulder into one of them. The impact knocked the guard off balance, and Lyra twisted free, blasting the second with another pulse of silver light. The air smelled like burning metal. Sparks rained across the floor. Ethan's lungs burned, his muscles screamed, but he refused to stop. He had made his choice, and he was not giving her up. Finally, the last standing guard hissed something in a language Ethan couldn't understand. A sharp whistle followed, and in seconds, all the armored figures retreated, their movements fast and unnerving. They vanished into the night, leaving the door shattered, furniture broken, and the air heavy with smoke. Ethan stood there, chest heaving, sweat dripping from his face. His hands still gripped the wrench, knuckles white. Lyra stumbled toward him, her glowing eyes wide. "You fought them," she whispered, almost in disbelief. He dropped the wrench with a clang. "Yeah," he said, breathless. "And I'll do it again if I have to." Lyra's lips trembled, but a small, fragile smile appeared. It was the first time he had seen her smile. But outside, in the distance, more engines rumbled. The first attack was only a test. The real storm was still coming. Asterisk. The hidden truth. The wreckage of the fight still lay scattered across Ethan's living room. Broken wood, sparks from shattered wires, and strange black metal fragments covered the floor. Ethan's hands shook as he cleaned his face, his body still aching from the blows he had taken. The silence afterward felt almost louder than the fight itself. Lyra sat on the floor, her knees pulled close to her chest, the faint glow of her tattoos dimming as if her strength was fading. Her eyes stared at nothing, as if she had slipped back into memories she did not want to remember. Ethan crouched beside her. "Lyra," he said softly, "you need to tell me the truth. Who are they? Why do they want you so badly?" For a long moment, she didn't answer. Her lips pressed tight, her body trembling. Finally, she lifted her head, and her voice came low, almost a whisper. "They are not soldiers. They are hunters," she said. "Hunters sent by an empire that rules far beyond this world. I was not just sent here as a gift. I was sent here. Because I ran, I escaped." Ethan's eyes widened. Escaped. From what? Lyra's gaze locked with his, glowing faintly in the shadows. From them, from the throne. The words struck him like lightning. "The throne? You mean?" "Royalty." Lyra hesitated, then gave the smallest nod. I am the daughter of a fallen queen. My people once ruled free across the stars, but the Empire took everything. They burned our cities, chained our families, and declared us property. They kept me alive only for one reason, because of my blood, because of who I am. They said one day I would be given away as a prize to prove their power. And now, here I am. Ethan stumbled back, his mind spinning. A queen's daughter, a stolen princess. He had thought she was just an unlucky stranger forced into slavery. But now he understood she was the key to something much larger. Lyra's voice cracked as she went on. They wanted me silent, obedient, but I refused. I escaped through shadows, across broken ships, through the dark of space. I thought I was free, but they found me again and sealed me inside that box. They thought giving me to a human would prove that even across galaxies, no one could resist their control. That I would remain nothing but a gift. Her hands clenched, tight, the silver tattoos flickering faintly like fading fire. But then you opened the box. And you did not treat me as they expected. You looked at me and saw more than what they called me. For the first time, I was not an object. I was Lyra. Ethan's throat tightened. He sat back against the broken wall, trying to take it all in. He was just a man, a nobody, yet somehow he had become the protector of an alien royal hunted by an empire. You should have told me earlier, he said quietly. Her eyes softened. Would you have believed me? He thought about it. No, he wouldn't have. But now he had seen the hunters, had fought them, had felt the cold, lifeless eyes behind their helmets. He couldn't deny the truth anymore. Lyra reached for his hand. Her touch warm despite her trembling fingers. They will not stop, she whispered. They will send more, stronger ones. If they capture me, they will destroy not only me, but anyone who helped me. That means you, Ethan. Ethan's heart pounded, but he didn't pull away. Then we'll fight them together. I don't care if it's an empire. I'm not giving you back. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter at his words, and for a moment her fear eased. But far beyond Earth, across cold space, the Empire had already learned of their failure. And when empires fail, they do not forgive. Asterisk. Betrayal among humans. The days after the attack passed in uneasy silence. Ethan patched the broken door with old boards, but no repair could erase the fear that clung to the air inside the house. Lyra rarely left his side, her glowing eyes scanning every sound, every shadow. They both knew the Empire would not stop. But Ethan also knew another danger was rising, one much closer than alien hunters. Humans. It began with whispers in the neighborhood. A neighbor walking his dog had seen the strange box delivered that night. Another had noticed the glowing lights through Ethan's window. In a quiet town where nothing ever happened. Rumors spread like wildfire. One evening, Ethan stepped outside to take the trash and froze. His neighbor, Mr. Collins, stood at the edge of the driveway, arms crossed, eyes sharp. You got something in there, don't you? Collins asked, his tone cold. Ethan forced a laugh. Just junk, same as always. But Collins didn't smile. His gaze drifted to the boarded door, then back to Ethan. I heard noises. Loud ones. Saw smoke, too. You hiding something, boy? Ethan's chest tightened. He muttered something about electrical problems and quickly went back inside. But Lyra was waiting by the window, her eyes full of worry. They suspect, she whispered. Humans will sell what they do not understand. Ethan wanted to argue, but deep down he knew she was right. Fear and greed lived in every world. The next night, the proof came. A black SUV rolled into the street, different from the Empire's watchers, but just as threatening. Men in suits stepped out, their shoes polished, their eyes cold. They walked straight to Colin's house. Ethan's heart sank. His neighbor had betrayed him. Through the thin walls, Ethan and Lyra heard the low conversation outside. Colin's voice was eager, full of pride as he told the strangers about the strange woman in Ethan's house, about the glowing lights, about the night of broken wood and smoke. The men listened carefully, then nodded, slipping him a thick envelope of cash. Lyra's hand tightened around Ethan's arm. They know now. Not just your people. The Empire will hear soon. Ethan's jaw clenched. He wanted to storm outside, to yell at Collins for selling them out, but he knew it would be useless. The damage was already done. Humans had become another enemy. Later that night, when the men in suits left, Ethan sat with Lyra at the table. His hands shook with anger. "I don't understand," he said. "I fight to keep you safe, and my own kind would hand you over for money." Lyra's eyes softened, but her voice was steady. "Do not hate them. Fear drives men to foolishness. Greed blinds them. But you are proof that humans can also choose differently." Her words calmed him, but only slightly. Because outside, he could still feel the eyes watching now. Not just alien, but human too. Hours passed. Ethan tried to sleep, but the creak of the floorboards kept him awake. He sat up and looked at Lyra, who had finally closed her eyes on the couch. She looked fragile, but he knew the truth. She was the most valuable being on Earth, and now everyone wanted her. Suddenly, headlights cut across the window again. More vehicles, more shadows. Ethan's stomach turned cold. The betrayal had opened. The door, and now both hunters and humans were closing in. He tightened his grip on the wrench still lying by the wall. He knew another storm was about to fall, and this time it wouldn't just be the Empire at his door. Asterisk the flight across stars the night sky above. Ethan's house burned with danger. Human agents and alien hunters were closing in, their shadows, crossing the streets like predators circling prey. Ethan knew the walls of his house could no longer protect them. If they stayed, they would be trapped. Lyra stood near the window, her silver tattoos glowing brighter than ever. She looked at Ethan with steady eyes. "We cannot run on foot. They will find us before sunrise. But there is another way." Ethan frowned. "Another way? What are you talking about?" She took his hand and led him out the back door into the woods behind his house. The forest was silent, the branches shivering under the cold wind. They moved quickly, their steps crunching against leaves, until Lyra stopped at a clearing. There, half buried under vines and dirt, lay the curve of something metallic, something not of earth. Ethan's breath caught. "What is this?" Lyra placed her glowing hand against the surface. The ground shivered, and the earth began to shift. Slowly, a massive shape rose from the soilless ship, sleek and silver. Its surface marked with the same glowing symbols Ethan had seen on the box. "My people left this vessel long ago," Lyra said softly. "Hidden, waiting for me to return. They thought I would never find it, but I remembered." Ethan's jaw tightened as he stared at the ship. It looked alive, as if the metal itself breathed. "You mean we can fly this? Leave Earth?" Lyra nodded. "If we stay, we die. If we fly, we may live." Behind them, the sound of engines roared closer. Headlights flickered through the trees, black SUVs and strange alien craft hovering low. The hunters and the agents had joined forces, closing in from both sides. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm. "Then, we don't have time. Show me how to start it." They scrambled inside the ship through a hatch that opened with a hiss. The interior glowed faintly, its walls alive with pulsing lights. The controls were strange: no buttons, no levers, only smooth panels that responded to Lyra's touch. She pressed her palm against the central console. The ship hummed to life, the walls vibrating as power surged through it. Ethan held on as the floor trembled beneath them, Outside, shouts echoed through the forest. Beams of light cut across the trees. A blast of energy hit the side of the ship, shaking it violently. "They've found us," Ethan yelled. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she activated the engines. "Hold on." With a deafening roar, the ship lifted from the ground, dirt and trees scattering in all directions. Vehicles tumbled backward from the force. Ethan gripped the seat as they shot upward, breaking through the canopy of trees into the open night sky. Missiles and beams of light followed, streaking past the hull. The ship swerved sharply, guided by Lyra's hands as if she were part of it. "They will not let us go," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Ethan's heart pounded. "Then we make them chase us." The ship roared higher, punching. Through the clouds, Earth's surface shrank below them, the cities glowing faintly in the dark. Ethan had never left his small town, never even been on an airplane in years, and now he was breaking through the atmosphere. Stars burning ahead of him, but the hunters were not far behind. Alien crafts rose into the sky, sleek and deadly, while human jets joined the chase. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath as the pursuit began. Ethan looked at Lyra. She was calm, her glowing hand steady on the console. But he saw the truth in her eyes. This was only the beginning. For the first time in his life, Ethan was no longer tied to the ground. He was flying into the unknown, carrying the most wanted woman in the galaxy. And somewhere out there, the Empire was waiting. The human stand the ship tore through the upper atmosphere, stars shining brighter with every second. Ethan gripped the seat, his knuckles white as the hull shook under enemy fire. Alien ships darted around them, their sleek forms glowing with deadly light. Behind them, Earth was already fading into a distant sphere. But there was no safety in space. Lyra's hands moved across the glowing console, her tattoos pulsing with the ship. "They are faster," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "They will catch us soon." Ethan's heart pounded. He looked around the cockpit, searching for anything that could give them a chance. There's got to be a way to fight back. This ship has weapons, right? Lyra shook her head. Not weapons. It was made for escape, not war. Ethan cursed under his breath. His mind raced. He had no training, no army, no firepower. But he refused to give up. He leaned forward. "Then we outsmart them. If we can't fight with weapons, we fight with Kree. We fight with Kree. We kiss Krees. Ruby kiss. We kiss Krees. Only Ruby kiss. Only Ruby kiss has the luxure as Krees kiss has the luxure. Unlast Krees, long-lasting quate. Lic. Our heads." The ship jolted violently as a blast struck the side. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and Ethan tasted blood where he had bitten his lip. He forced himself to focus. "Lyra," he said sharply, "can you control the ship's energy? Flow. Like, redirect it?" She glanced at him, surprised. "Yes, but why?" "Because if they think we're weak, they'll rush in close. And that's when we hit them hard." Her eyes widened as she realized his plan. "You want to make the ship explode." "No," Ethan said quickly. "Not explode. But we can blind them. Overload the ship's outer lights, make it shine so bright it fries their sensors. It's a gamble, but it might buy us time." Lyra hesitated for only a second, then nodded. "Guide me." Together, they worked. Ethan pointed to glowing panels, guessing by instinct, while Lyra channeled the ship's energy. The hum grew louder, the lights inside flickering dangerously. Outside, alien ships closed in, forming a deadly ring. "They think we're finished." Lyra whispered. "Good," Ethan said. "Let's prove them wrong." He slammed his hand against the final panel. The ship exploded with blinding light brighter than 100 suns. The cockpit filled with white fire, and Ethan covered his eyes. Outside, the alien ships shrieked and spun, their sensors burned by the sudden flare. Several collided with each other, exploding in sparks across the dark sky. Lyra pulled the ship sharply upward, breaking through the trap. The blinding glow faded, leaving only debris behind. For a moment, the stars were theirs again. Ethan slumped back in his seat, his chest heaving. Did it work? Lyra looked at him with awe. Yes, it worked. You did what none of my people dared. You turned weakness into strength. Ethan gave a small, tired grin. That's what humans do. But their victory was short-lived. A shadow fell across the stars. From the depths of space, a massive vessel emerged, 10 times larger than their small craft. Its hull gleamed black, lined with rows of glowing red eyes. Lyra's face paled. The dread ship, the Empire's hunter, is here. Ethan stared at the colossal ship. His wrench, still lying at his feet, seemed almost laughable against such power. But he didn't let fear control him. He stood tall, his voice steady. Then we stand, he said. We don't bow, we don't beg. We stand. Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining with something new hope. The dread ship's lights blazed, its weapons locking onto them. But Ethan wasn't thinking of surrender. He was already searching for another way, another human trick, another chance to prove that courage could outmatch an empire. Asterisk, the birthday that changed everything, the dread ship, loomed ahead, blocking out the stars like a dark mountain in space. Its hull stretched endlessly, glowing red with the power of 1,000 cannons. Ethan's small ship shook under the force of its presence. He had never felt so small in his life, but he refused to bow. Lyra's glowing hands trembled over the controls. We cannot fight this, she whispered. That ship could burn entire cities. We are nothing compared to it. Ethan's jaw tightened. Nothing. Maybe. But I'm done running. If this is where it ends, then we end it standing. The dread ship's voice boomed across the silence of space, translated into human words by the ship's systems. Surrender. The royal fugitive, return what is ours, or perish. Lyra's face grew pale. They will not stop until I am back in their chains. Ethan's hand tightened around the wrench he still carried, though he knew it was useless against a monster like that. Still, he stood tall. They can't have you, he said firmly. Not now, not ever. For a long moment, silence filled the cockpit. Lyra stared at him, her glowing eyes wide. Then, slowly, she placed her hand over his. You do not understand. What you've done? She whispered. No one has ever defied them for me. No one has ever chosen me. Ethan swallowed hard. Then let's make it count. An idea sparked in his mind. He turned to Lyra. This ship doesn't have weapons, right? But it has power. More than I've ever seen. What if we turn it against them? Not to destroy, but to show them something they fear more than fire. Lyra frowned. What do you mean? Truth, Ethan said. They want to keep you hidden. A gift, a prize. What if the whole galaxy saw who you really are? Not a slave, not a gift. A queen's daughter standing free with a human by her side. Lyra's lips parted in shock. Broadcast to the stars. Yes, Ethan said, his voice growing stronger. Send it to every frequency, every channel. Let everyone see what they're trying to bury. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. Her tattoos flared bright as she touched the ship's heart. A deep hum filled the cabin as energy surged outward. Screens lit up, signals spread across the void. And then, Lyra's image glowing, regal, unbroken, flashed into space, carried to every world that could receive it. Her voice rang clear. I am Lyra, daughter of the fallen queen. I am not a gift. I am not a chain. I am free, and I stand beside a human who chose to protect me, not possess me. Let the galaxy know, the Empire does not own us. Not anymore. Ethan's chest swelled with pride as her words echoed on the dreadship. Movement faltered. The Empire's hunters hesitated. The broadcast spread too fast, reaching too far. Billions of eyes across distant systems were now watching, listening. The secret was broken. The dreadship did not fire. It hovered in silence, its threat empty in the face of truth. Finally, with a deep rumble, the massive ship turned and disappeared into the stars, leaving Ethan and Lyra alone in the quiet of space. Ethan sank back into his chair, exhausted but alive. Lyra turned to him, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "You gave me more than freedom," she whispered. "You gave me a voice." He smiled. Faintly, "Happy birthday to me, I guess." Lyra laughed softly, the sound carrying warmth through the cold void. "No, happy beginning to us both." For the first time in years, Ethan felt alive, not because of the cake he never ate, or the candle he never wished on, but because he had chosen something worth living and fighting for. And far across the galaxy, change had already begun. Asterisk,